He really put a lot of effort into trying to understand the way people experience their own illness, and wrote a number of texts on that, which are pioneering in a way from within what's now known as ethnopsychiatry, a psychiatry that would take into account the cultural determinations of mental illness. So he put a lot of effort in that. Fanon is someone who slept very little. So from all the testimonies that we have, so he never stopped. In fact, he was able to go and spend a whole night attending a trance ceremony in the mountains, and then be back at his to do his morning visit in the hospital and so on. So he was really functioning in all directions, reading a lot at the same time. He subscribed to all the current psychiatric journals, annotated them, etc., read all that. He took part during all this time. Most of these articles are, in fact, presentations that he gave at congresses of psychiatry in France, in Belgium, in Switzerland during the time. He was operating like a research psychiatrist, but very soon he was already getting more and more involved with the Algerian Revolution, probably because he was already seeing the impact of colonialism in terms of mental illness, but also because a psychiatric hospital is somewhere where you can hide people. So he would have been asked quite early on whether he could hide people, like during the war, people had hidden in Saint-Alban in France, and he did the same there. So he became much more knowledgeable about what was happening and so on, to an extraordinary degree within such a short amount of time, when you think of all he was doing at the same time. You can see it by all his interventions in different anti-colonial congresses at the time, what he says, and then what he writes in the Wretched of the Earth, that if you are given your independence, therefore if there's no revolution, then you will not be independent. You will fall again prey to the cult of the leaders, etc., etc. And he sees in the revolutions where people, in independentist processes where people have been in charge of fighting for their own independence, he sees in that a precondition for the creation of a subjectivity, if you want, a revolutionary subjectivity, in the sense of Sartre. He was a great reader of Sartre until the very end. So, but that implies everybody. It's the whole population that is going to be involved in that. It's not just the local fighters. In fact, we have a number of testimonies where he says what is really important is those who are fighting inside. It's not the army, the Algerian army, which is at the borders, even though they play a role and there's circulation between them. But what counts is the transformation that's occurring within the country.
How he envisages the revolution or the process of decolonization as something quite holistic, actually.
Yes, so what I think is very interesting when you read all the psychiatric texts and all the ethno-psychiatric texts and all the work that he did during the period that precedes his writing of the great anti-colonial text, you see that he describes the asylum and the traditional ways of treating the mad in the same way that he will describe the colonial environment, using the same vocabulary. So what he says is that internment, enclosure, separatedness, all the limitations that are imposed on the body. When he arrived in Blida, he had all the instruments of contention, as they were called at the time, all the belts, the straitjackets, etc., all that removed. When he was in Tunis, he had all the doors removed, the metal doors, etc. So this, for him, produces an alienation.